Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times. Oprah was fired from her first TV job for being unfit for television. What separates these legends from the millions who gave up after their first no? It's not talent, luck, or having rich parents. It's something way more powerful and completely learnable. Today, we're cracking the code on why some people become absolutely unstoppable while others quit the moment things get tough. Here's what everyone gets wrong about discipline. They think it's about grinding your teeth and forcing yourself to do stuff you hate. That's not discipline. That's just making yourself miserable. Real discipline is like a superpower that you can actually learn. The people who never quit have figured out a secret that most of us are still clueless about. They've learned how to make their brain work for them, not against them. They've cracked the code on turning short bursts of motivation into lifelong habits. And here's the crazy part. None of it requires superhuman willpower or being born special. We're about to go inside the minds of unstoppable people. Warning, some of this stuff will completely flip what you think you know about willpower and success. You might never see quitting the same way again. Your brain is basically 2 people fighting for control 24/7. Person number 1 is impulsive and emotional. They want pizza now, Netflix now, and will do anything to avoid discomfort. Person number 2 is the smart one who can wait for better things and work toward big goals. Most people let person number 1 run their entire life, which is why they quit when stuff gets real. Disciplined people have figured out how to put person number 2 in charge. But here's the wild part. They don't use willpower to do it. Willpower is like your phone battery. It dies when you need it most. These people use mental tricks that make discipline feel automatic. Think about it like this. Weak people are constantly fighting internal wars. Strong people have set up their psychology so the wars barely happen. They've eliminated the fight by completely changing how their brain handles challenges, failures, and long-term dreams. This is where it gets insane. People who never quit don't think of themselves as people trying to get disciplined. They straight up believe they are disciplined people. This isn't fake it till you make it stuff. This is rewiring your entire identity. When you truly see yourself as someone who finishes what they start, quitting literally feels wrong in your bones. It doesn't match who you are. When you see yourself as someone who works out, skipping the gym creates this weird, uncomfortable feeling. Your brain actually forces you to act like the person you believe you are. The unstoppable people hacked their own identity. They don't wait for motivation or good moods. They've programmed themselves to act like who they are, no matter how they feel. It's like they've become their own best friend and worst enemy at the same time. Most people feel discomfort and immediately run screaming. Disciplined people have completely flipped their relationship with pain. They've turned discomfort into their best friend. When they hit resistance, they get excited about it like it's treasure. This is massive. When you're building a business and someone says no, regular people think, this sucks, maybe I'm not meant for this. Disciplined people think, awesome, this rejection just taught me something valuable about my pitch. Same exact situation, totally different brain response. They've trained their minds to see struggle as proof they're winning, not losing. This mental flip transforms every obstacle from a reason to quit into rocket fuel to keep going. It's like they've reprogrammed their GPS to see roadblocks as confirmation they're on the right path. Weak people live in right now, making decisions based on how they feel this second. Disciplined people have mastered mental time travel. They can emotionally connect with their future selves. They don't just imagine who they'll become, they can actually feel it. When they're tempted to quit, they don't think about what they're giving up today. They think about what they're stealing from the person they're becoming. They've made quitting feel like betraying their best friend, their future self. Scientists have proven that people who can clearly see their future selves make way better decisions. But disciplined people take this to another level. They've made their future self feel as real and important as their current self. Every choice becomes a conversation between who they are and who they're becoming. While everyone else is obsessing over goals and results, disciplined people are completely obsessed with their daily systems. They know that you don't magically rise to your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Disciplined people have fallen in love with the process, not just the prize. They get a high from following their system, even when results suck. This makes them bulletproof, because their happiness doesn't depend on perfect outcomes or other people's approval. Here's what most people totally miss. Disciplined people don't rely on solo willpower. They've strategically surrounded themselves with people who make discipline feel normal. This is pure genius. When everyone around you thinks quitting is normal, quitting feels normal. When everyone around you thinks pushing through is normal, that becomes your normal too. Disciplined people actively choose their crew based on who reinforces the person they want to be. This isn't about peer pressure, it's about identity backup. When you're around people who see you as unstoppable and capable, you start seeing yourself that way. Your friends become mirrors reflecting your best self back at you, making it way easier to act like that person. Undisciplined people think discipline means never stopping, always grinding. That's how you burn out fast. Actually, disciplined people have mastered strategic rest. They know exactly when to push and when to recharge. They get that discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about bouncing back fast. They build rest into their systems. They treat their mental energy like gold that needs to be spent wisely, not blown on stupid stuff. This is why they can go strong for years while others crash and burn in weeks. They've learned to be disciplined about recovery, not just work. They understand that real discipline means cycles of effort and rest, not mindless grinding 24/7. Every single person tells themselves stories about who they are. Weak people tell themselves limiting stories. I always start strong but fade. I'm just not disciplined. I'm not cut out for this. These stories become reality. Disciplined people have become masters of their own story. They tell themselves empowering stories about their ability to crush obstacles. When bad stuff happens, they don't change their story. They see the setback as just one chapter in an epic comeback story. This is like mental magic. They take the exact same experiences that would destroy other people and turn them into proof of their strength. Every challenge becomes evidence they're getting stronger. Every comeback becomes proof they're unstoppable. They're writing their own superhero origin story. Most people are completely controlled by their feelings. They work out when they feel motivated, eat healthy when they feel good, chase their dreams when they feel inspired. Disciplined people have learned to take action regardless of how they feel. This doesn't mean they ignore emotions. They've just learned the superpower of emotional independence. They can feel however they feel without letting those feelings control what they do. They've created space between feeling something and doing something about it. This might be their most valuable skill. When you can act based on your values instead of your mood, you become unstoppable. You're no longer a slave to your constantly changing emotions. You've developed emotional freedom, the power to choose your actions no matter what you're feeling. While most people are terrified of failure and see it as proof they should quit, disciplined people have turned failure into their best friend. They see failure as free education, not as a death sentence. This mind flip is everything. They know that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's success in disguise. Every failure teaches them something gold about their approach, their blind spots, or their strategy. They've turned their biggest fear into their greatest teacher. This makes them basically indestructible. When others see dead ends, they see detours. When others see reasons to quit, they see reasons to adjust the plan and keep moving. They've made themselves immune to the fear of failure by completely changing what failure means. Disciplined people have developed something psychologists call future thinking. They value future rewards just as much as immediate rewards. This is super rare. Most people want everything right now and barely care about tomorrow. They've trained their brains to think in years, not days. When making choices, they don't just think about how they'll feel right now. They think about how they'll feel in 10 years if they keep making this choice. This future focus makes short-term sacrifice feel exciting, not painful. This mental skill lets them delay gratification, not through willpower, but through genuine excitement about their future life. They've made long-term thinking feel rewarding, not restricting. They see instant gratification as stealing from their future, and future rewards as investing in their dream life. While undisciplined people try to outmuscle temptation with willpower, disciplined people just eliminate temptation by designing their environment. They know willpower is limited, but environment is totally controllable. They set up their world to make good choices automatic and bad choices annoying. They don't keep junk food around because they know at 11 p.m. when they're exhausted, their willpower will be gone. They don't rely on motivation to exercise. They remove every obstacle between them and the gym. This is strategic brilliance. They've accepted they're human and will usually take the easy path, so they make sure the easy path leads toward their goals, not away from them. They've rigged their environment to support the person they want to be. They're not looking for overnight transformations. They're building unstoppable momentum through small daily improvements. This mindset makes them incredibly patient with the process and incredibly persistent through the boring middle. They know that real growth often looks like nothing is happening until suddenly everything explodes. They can stay disciplined during the flat periods because they understand how compound growth actually works. They're psychologically invested in the long game. They're not trying to impress anyone with dramatic changes. They're trying to become their ideal self through consistent daily actions. This patience and persistence is what makes them literally unstoppable. Here's the ultimate mind bender. The more disciplined you become, the less discipline you actually need. What starts as hard work eventually becomes effortless habit. What begins as forced behavior eventually becomes who you naturally are. Disciplined people understand they're not trying to be disciplined forever. They're trying to be disciplined long enough for their new behaviors to become automatic. They're investing their limited willpower in building systems that will eventually run themselves. This is why they never quit. They've crossed the line where disciplined behavior takes less effort than undisciplined behavior. The psychology of discipline isn't some mysterious superpower, it's completely learnable. Every single trait we've talked about today is a skill you can develop starting right now. The people who never quit aren't aliens. They've just trained different mental muscles. Your mission, if you're brave enough to accept it, is to pick one thing from today's breakdown and start developing it immediately. Maybe it's changing your relationship with discomfort. Maybe it's connecting with your future self. Maybe it's designing your environment to win. Drop a comment and tell me which mind hack hit you hardest. And if you're ready to develop the psychology of someone who never quits, smash that subscribe button. Your future unstoppable self is counting on you. Remember, discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. And persistence is just psychology in action.